there's not many people who can say that they've had a film made about their life, let alone two films about their life, but my guest today has. Dave Fishwick, the Dave of Bank of Dave. He started a community bank over in the UK, deliberately designed to help his local community when he saw all the other banks not helping them. And the new film Bank of Dave 2 has just come out, so he thought it was a perfect time to remember and go back to our first interview with Dave a couple of years ago when the first film came out. He's a passionate man who it just exudes his care for community and his passion for life and zest for life as well. Let's get stuck into this interview with Dave Fishwick. G'day, Dave.
Clayton, hello.
It is wonderful to have you, and you're in Australia at the moment as well, which is even better. Have you ever been to Australia before?
Never, but I'll tell you what it is. It's a long way, but it's well worth the trip. I brought the sunshine with me, and it's been wonderful, and the people have been so friendly. It feels like I'm back in the UK.
It's great.
It's just fab.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, for somebody who doesn't know a bit of your story, let's give the quick summary of your story, and then we might dig a bit deeper. Is there sort of a 20-second summary that you have that you could say, and then we'll start digging into each layer of it?
Well, I suppose you could say, I left school absolutely useless. I had no qualifications whatsoever at 16 years old. Went working on a building site as a builder's labourer, and today I'm building the first new high street bank for 150 years, and Hollywood turned up and made a movie about it.
I love it, exactly. So you had this dream and this passion to say, hey, actually for my local community, which is in Burnley, how do I actually help them? And can I start up this bank? Can I get this bank going and loan to the local community? And then also on top of that, if that wasn't enough, actually give all the profits to local communities. And I think in Australian dollars, we're talking it's been about 50 million Australian dollars that you've actually given back to community by way of donation as well, right?
Yeah, what we've done is we've lent out over 50 million, and that's in Australian dollars. And what we do is we help people receive the best rate of interest on the high street. We then take that money and lend it to hard-working people who just can't borrow from the high street bank. And then the profit, we pay the overheads, and the difference we give to good causes and charity. And it works.
Yeah, it's excellent. Dave, from your perspective, and I so enjoyed the film. It was just wonderful. It was joyous in every way, and I do like the disclaimer at the front. A true-ish story. There's plenty of Hollywoodisms in it, but I think the one thing that I really got out of it was the joy of who you are. And I've watched, preparing for this interview, I've watched enough other interviews, and there's just joy that seems to come out of you. It does come through in that film as well. And this idea to say, hey, look, I don't want to just sit by in life. I want to actually make a difference in life. And so I'm imagining, starting up a bank ain't easy. It's not an easy idea to do. Was there ever any doubts, or was it once you'd set your mind to it, this is just what I'm going to do?
Yeah, well, to be honest, that's how I am in life. Once you put your mind to something, self-belief is everything. Then you've got to believe in yourself, because if you believe in yourself, then other people will follow. And confidence is another big one. But once I've put my mind to it, whatever happens, that's the way we're heading. And as an entrepreneur, I've learned to turn no's into yeses. But it was definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, the most difficult challenge I've ever took on, and I've took a lot of challenges on over the years.
Was there much risk that you put yourself in as you started up something like this? You were a very successful businessman, despite, as you said, you started with no qualifications in that regards, but you owned a number of different businesses. Was there a lot of risk that you put in to start the Bank of Dave as well?
Well, it's a little bit like what people ask me about a lot. One of the questions I get asked a lot, and I'm the business doctor in the Mail Online, and people write to me and say, Dave, I want to start a business, but I'm worried about failing. And I write back, and I like to hear from people from all over the world. And I write back to them and I say, look, the price of failure is nothing compared to the bill you will get for regret. You must have a go. If it doesn't work out, have another go at something else and keep going until you find something that does. Because if you get the bill for regret, you'll regret that forever.
Yeah. Dave, I know that part of what's happening is that it's still going through the process of actually being a sort of a UK regulated bank, and it's certainly so savings and loans at the moment. And you're sort of operating as close as you can to that, and that's still through the process. We've got what I believe is enough sort of community banks here in Australia. Have you had a look at our models, and are we sort of operating in that similar way, or is there improvement you think we could be making too?
What I'd like to see, and it would be wonderful to meet some people in Australia that want this to happen, but what I'd like to see is there's a lot of people in Australia that have made good money here. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that have done well that want to give back to their community. I'd love to see community banks run by the community to benefit the community rather than the bonus culture. I'd also like to see some of these energy giants that are making huge profits, and there's a lot of people that can't afford to turn the gas on or the electric on or put fuel in the car. And I'd like to see a group of people in the community get together, put their money in a pot, and then bulk buy a huge block of energy, and then split the discount they get between all the people in their community. That would be wonderful. It's almost like taking charge again. Many years ago, this is how things used to be done. But then these big conglomerates come over and took over and taken charge. And you've got elderly people that are getting cold at night, and they daren't turn the electric on and they daren't turn the gas on. And that needs to change. And with the banks, they've had their own way for a long, long time. And people who rob banks go to prison, but banks who rob people get paid bonuses. And I'll give you a really good example. One of the charities and one of the good causes that I help is I got a telephone call from a school, a headmistress from a school in Colne in Lancashire, near the Bank of Dave. It's actually just round the corner from one of my minibus garages. And she needed to speak to me urgently, and I took the call. And she said, Dave, she says, I'd love to buy one of your buses, but we can't afford one. However, I've got a more pressing problem, she said. The kids are coming to school hungry. The credit crisis has really bitten into the area, and the parents are struggling buying as much food. So the kids are coming to school without breakfast. Would there be any chance, she said, of you providing some for the kids to eat? And I said, send me a link to everything you need and we'll take care of it. So she sent me a link to these industrial toasting machines and this equipment for the kitchen. And then she sent me a link to some food. And I said, look, let's sort you out with the food. I'll get the machines in within the next 24, 48 hours. We had everything to by the end of the week, and I bought and paid for a year's supply of food. I said, when you're getting towards 3 months before you run out of food, ring me again, and I'll give you the money for another year's supply of food. Now, you've got that on one side, and then on the other side of things, you've got bankers saying, unless we pay them $20, $30 million bonuses, they're going to go back to the States, they're going to go back to America, and they're going to leave the country. Now, how can you have a group of people on one side needing $30 million, and on the other side, you've got a headmistress ringing me and writing to me? And I've made it very public because I think it's so important, ringing to me and writing to me, saying kids are coming to school starving. Now, we've fed them children, and we've made sure that they'll be eating every day for every single child in that school will eat every day, and I'll make sure of that. But how many other schools across the world is that happening, And then we're getting these requests for these massive bonuses. It's just wrong.
Dave Fishwick from the Bank of Dave is my guest. We will have more of his story on the way next on Towards Understanding.
Share your brand, your event, your message across 90 Christian radio stations and major cities in Australia and New Zealand by sponsoring Towards Understanding, hosted by Clayton Bielan. More than 210,000 people tune into Towards Understanding each week, and with just one sponsorship, you'll reach this immense engaged audience. Find out more about this exciting and unique opportunity now on the sponsorship page at positivemedia.com.au.
You were talking, Dave, about this heart before, just a couple of moments ago, about this idea of how do we change this sort of big understanding, this big culture of $30 million, $40 million bonuses, whatever they might be, to bankers, and yet there's, in your example, a local school unable to feed some kids and a headmistress asking for you. How do we actually change that huge culture? Because I think probably most of us sit there and go, well, my little bit, I don't know how I actually change that. I can't seem to do that. Is it a group together? Is it we need one person who has a high profile? Is it we need somebody like you to come and change up a system for us? What do you think is actually the best way to go about doing that?
Well, I think I think Australia's got a lot of very, very good people in it. I mean, I've been here for a few days now, and every day I've met lots and lots of incredibly friendly people. I think there's lots of things can be done. I think you've got entrepreneurs here. I think you've got some wealthy people out here. I mean, I was speaking to a miner who'd done very well in Australia, who wanted to specifically give back to his specific community. And I think that there'll be people like that could put the name to a project. If you get a group of people, and they don't have to be extremely wealthy, just a group of like-minded people who could raise money, who could get together, who could create a small financial institution to lend throughout their community. You do need an entrepreneur who's going to have skin in the game, who's going to put his name to it so no money can be lost by anybody that can't afford to lose it. But you do need to start taking control again, because as a community and as a country, the UK and Australia are very, very similar. I mean, this is the first time I've been to Australia, and it just feels like home. You know, we've got so many things in common. I think that we could become a bigger community, Australia and the UK together. You know, we could join up forces. But I think there's certain individuals commanding these huge amounts of money, and they're not just in finance and banking. I think it's in energy as well. I mean, some of these energy companies are making millions, but yet doubling the price of what it costs to heat somebody's home. You know, these bankers the interest rates are going through the roof, and young people and hardworking people can't afford to pay the doubling in mortgages. And you just think, where does all this end? And how come we've got banks going bankrupt again? You know, they've got 4 banks just recently around the world that are collapsing around us, and we was told that would never happen again, and yet it's happening. And how does that work? You know, and I just think I've just got this little community finance company where we've lent, 50 million, and it works. And we just help people get the best rate of interest. We then lend that money to businesses and people, and the profit we feed kids. And you think, well, that works.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps other people can do the same.
Yeah, exactly right. I love that, and I think especially around that energy understanding of what it is. Here in Australia, we are at such an energy culture in terms of the conversations we have about our energy, and can we look at that through the people cost as well, and the people opportunity, I think, is a great encouragement. Dave, I want to have a look at just a side point as well, and back to the movie for a second, that I believe that it was shot around your hometown, Burnley, as well. But is it true that when they shot some of the scenes for Dave, who was played by, I think it was Rory Kinnear, wasn't it, who played you in the film there, it was actually your house as well that they shot in? Is that correct? Yeah,
because it's important to me and to the people in Lancashire and Burnley and the surrounding area. It was important. It was real. So I said, right, okay, let's shoot it in my house. So we shot it in my house. We shot it in my garages. We used my minibus place. We used the Bank of Dave for real. The real one, where we pull the curtain down, that's the real Bank of Dave. We have upstairs as well, and we've got 16 offices upstairs now, but it's the real deal. And we use Burnley Market, and Phoebe Denver, who's Bridgerton's biggest star, she come over. She was on $100 million set in Los Angeles, and the following day she flew into Burnley, into Manchester Airport, and she was there with me in Burnley Market on a wet Tuesday afternoon having fish and chips. A complete culture shock, but it was real. And Rory Kinnear, he looks more like me than I do, and he plays Tanner in Bond. Yep. And I said to him, from now on, every time somebody sees him in the new Bond movie, they're going to shout, Dave's in Bond.
That's right.
Yeah, from Bond to Burnley, he's now peaking. I told him.
I love it. I love it so much. You are right. It is one of the greatest castings I reckon I've seen, both in looks, but also in the character that he can play, that joy, that spirit
so
as well.
Good.
I think it's
because he's got some Olivia Awards, you see, for acting, and he's a thespian actor as well. So he really can do the job. And the first time I met him, he'd done an awful lot of homework on me, and I didn't realise how much until the first time I met him. And he knocked on my door at home, just like that. Yeah. And I opened the door, and he said, Dave, meet Dave. And I thought, you'll do for me.
I love that. I love it. It's great. Dave, just before we let you go, I'm really interested and fascinated by what you hope to achieve out of the movie. So as people see this, as people experience the story, as they understand it, what do you hope people walk away with? And, I'm assuming it's got something to do with changing our world for the better, but what is it from your perspective?
What I would love is once somebody's gone and seen the movie, I really would love people to get a real warm feeling from it, because we do need a bit of good news at the moment, because the world's, having some tough times. But I'd also love that if somebody can get some inspiration from it and they go home that day or the following day, they get up and they think, do you know what? I'm going to get that new job. I'm going to get that pay rise. I'm going to start that little business. I'm going to start that family. I'm going to go to see my boss and see if I can get that next hook on the ladder. Or I'm going to start that little finance company and I'm going to help my community. And if it inspires just one person to do something, then we've won.
Now, I did say that was last question, but I just thought of one more, which is around this incredible energy that you have. It seems like, lots of business is your world, and you've been able to help people out of that. But when we sort of step aside from that, and aside from, spending time with family, is there an interest that grabs you? Are you off fishing? Are you off playing squash? What's the interest that you do just for yourself?
What I love to do, I've 2 children. I have a son that's a frontline police officer, and I've got a girl who works with animals, and I've got 2 grandchildren. I have 2 little boys that I spend a lot of time with, and I really, really enjoy being around them. But I'm a pilot, and I learned to fly, bearing in mind I've no qualifications, so I had to learn an awful lot of things to be able to get the pilot's license. I learned to fly planes, and then I learned to fly helicopters. So I'm a pilot in my spare time, and I offer my services to the air ambulance. So if they want a day off or they want to spend some time with family or whatever, then I'll fly for free. That's something I'm just working towards at the moment. But I love to fly. It's a really, really passion of mine, and one day I would love to fly the air ambulance. That's my goal, if you will. That's my. If you say what would you really love to do in life? The thing is, I don't want to take somebody's job, because somebody gets paid for that. So if somebody wants some time off, or if somebody is ill, then I would love to fly the air ambulance.
I love that. And once again, giving back as we go. Is there a cool spot that you've ever been able to get to with the helicopter that you just would never have been able to get to with, just driving or walking or something?
Do you know what? When I get really, really fed up in life, and I've got, sometimes I've got half a dozen businesses, and there's always problems, and that's just life. There's bumps in the road coming for everybody, and some days you get over them, and some days it takes a bit longer. And when I get really fed up, I go home, and I'll pull the helicopter out, and I'll look for a big fluffy cloud, and I'll fly up to that cloud, and I'll slow the helicopter down to the point where it's actually the same speed as the cloud. So I put the skids onto the cloud, and I feel myself and the pressure of the cloud pulling me along. And then I'll drop the collective lever, which pulls me through the cloud. And then your thoughts, just anything bad or anything that you're sort of stressed about, it just disappears as you drop through the cloud. And it's the most wonderful thing in the world. And that's what I love to do.
What a picture. What a picture. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today.
Thank you so much. Real pleasure.